Hello, this is Douglas Block. Welcome to your what do we call it? Live Chat Wednesday. How's that? Live Chat Wednesday. It's your Q&A live chat on the Depression Recovery channel, where I'm going to be talking with you for the next 45 minutes to an hour and answer any questions you may have about mental health recovery. And it's a beautiful sunny day in Portland. I did a bike ride yesterday. I'm going to do another one today. In the meantime, I hope some of you are tuning in. Let me just adjust the little camera here on my iPad, and there we go. So hopefully we'll see some of you in a few minutes. And again, this is your live Wednesday chat, the 10th one I've done. And wanted to start out by talking about my latest video I just uploaded called "You Are More Resilient Than You Think." And what this video talks about is how human beings, over time, over the centuries, thousands of years, have survived all sorts of things. Famines, floods, wars, pestilences, you name it. And likewise, we who deal with mental health disorders, mental illnesses, can survive the travails we face and rise from the dead. I tell a couple of stories on this video. The first one is, hello says, "Oh, Arcade Cup, nice to see you again." Good morning, says D. Obits. Anyway, or G, I don't even, G-bits, it's hard to read. These things are really small on the iPad. Anyway, good morning to you guys. Please answer your questions. I have bipolar 1, says Timothy. Can I get jacked up on coffee and enjoy drinks, trigger mania, or is it just the caffeine? Yeah, if you're on bipolar 1, I would probably go really light on the stimulants. The main thing that can really trigger your episodes is not getting enough sleep. That'll do it, or having irregular sleep hours, or skipping your medication, or not eating properly. Caffeine, it can definitely get anxiety going. I think caffeine can definitely make your anxiety worse. But in terms of bipolar, I'm not quite sure. But probably since mania is a heightened state of excitement, I would say that too much caffeine could probably not be helpful, right? So yeah, my book, Healing from Depression, talks about a 12-week recovery program. And the things that I talk about in this group to help stabilize someone with depression work for bipolar. It's the same thing. Mental health habits, the three pillars of mental health recovery, right? Set the intention to heal, reach out for support, and treat your symptoms using a combination of mutually supportive therapies. Tyler says, how long have you been a therapist for, and where did you get your degree? It's a legitimate question. I got my bachelor's degree in New York University in 1971. Anybody can do any math here? 47 years ago? Oh my God, I'm old. Anyway, yes, that was my BA, and my MA was from the University of Oregon, which I also call the U of O, which I like to call the U of Zero. Sorry, Ducks. That was down the road in Eugene, that way, down south in Eugene, Oregon, about 109 miles south from Portland, Oregon. That was in 1980. That was 37 years ago, so I have a bachelor's and a master's. So I've been in the psychology field for about 46 years. But the thing that has qualified me to do my website, my newsletters, my support groups, my coaching in this channel is that I've been to hell and back through depression. That's my credentials. I'm a survivor, just like you guys. Coralie says, oops, hi Douglas. I've asked about RTMS in the UK. It's available at only one clinic in London. Wow, $2,500 per week? Wow. It is 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah, okay, so what is RTMS? I'm not sure what the R is, but TMS is transcranial magnetic stimulation. It has proved very effective for people in America, my clients and others, who are called treatment resistant. Now, what does treatment resistant mean? I had treatment-resistant depression in 1996-97. That simply means the psychiatrists are saying to you, our drugs don't work. Our drugs don't work. Means antidepressants don't help. And guess what? For about 20 to 30% of the people, they don't help. So what are you left with, man? You're going to suffer? Scroll back up, Doug. Do you have any suggestions about dealing and coping with the loss of a 16-year-old beloved dog? Yes. Get to a grief group. Loss of a pet, any sort of loss can trigger depression. Anyway, getting back to what I said about the RTMS, it's very good. I can't believe there's only one place in Great Britain that only offers it $2,500. See if the National Health Service will cover it, and if not, maybe you can get some private insurance. In America, here in Portland, we have 3 different places to get TMS, and it's covered by almost all insurances, including Kaiser and Blue Cross Blue Shield and Providence, Medicare. So, I used to think mental health services in America are really poor, but when I compared them to the United Kingdom and Japan, and I've got a client from Nigeria, God forbid, where they think that 33% of the people think that depression is caused by demonic possession. Wow. Anyway, so yes, I'm really sorry about the RTMS. See if you can get some additional insurance to pay for, or maybe you can ask a rich uncle or something like that. But yeah, thank you for letting me know about that. Okay, because I have the iPad, I'm getting a new laptop computer from Apple tomorrow. Very excited. Do you think that do you think people try to take advantage of your good nature? Yeah, someone about 15 years ago, I was making a deposit, and a person came up to me and said, I'm a construction worker, but I don't have enough change to get back to Gresham, Oregon, taking the MAX public transportation. Do you have $20? Here's a copy of my driver's license. I'm good for it. Of course, it turned out it was a forged driver's license. Hello, North Idaho, beautiful North Idaho. It is beautiful. I'm slowly recovering from a major depressive episode. I've had 33 years old crazy experience. Thanks for your commitment to the community. Yeah, thank you for saying that. I have, just go check out my recent videos. They're very instructive. One is called "Will These Bouts of Depression Ever End?" And it's all about how depression is a chronic relapsing condition. What does that mean? It means that you don't get it once and it's gone forever. I just have a gal who just left my support group in August, and she had a psychotic break. I've been on the phone. The reason I was a couple of minutes late to start this video is I've been on the phone with the police where she's been arrested, trying to get them to get her to a hospital instead of keeping her in jail or putting her back on the street. We really need to train police departments in the United States and probably other developed countries to respond, because jails are the new psychiatric institutions. About 30% of the people in jails here have a mental illness. They should not be in jail. They should be in a mental hospital. But yeah, so this woman relapsed. She had been in my group and been really well for a year and a half, and bingo, stress comes and down she goes. So yes, I've had episodes when I've been 26, 33, 46, and then 67. So at least they're getting further and further apart. Timothy says, I called the suicide prevention. Oh, that's Amber. I have what they call a manic episode of psychosis. I feel it was possessed. Yeah, well, that can happen when you're manic. So I won't be able to go. It's very extensive. Oh, that's too bad, says Coralie. I'll ask my doctor about ECT treatment. Do you think it's good as RTMS? Hey, Coralie, transcranial magnetic stimulation, TMS, has about a 1 in 3, 33% success rate, while ECT has a 80 to 90% success rate. Can you believe it? My mother, myself, a couple of doctors in my group, I've had about 11 people in my life, both my mother, myself, and 9 other clients have done ECT, and guess what? It's all worked for all of them. So you're actually better off with ECT than RTMS because the success rate is really higher. And don't let them, scare you about, it being, dangerous or anything like that. You're put out, it lasts 10 minutes, and you do have some memory issues at the time that you got the treatment, but otherwise, coming back from the dead from a major depressive episode is worth whatever short-term memory loss you've got. Dorothy, I'm self-harming. My adult son has fallen out with me. We had a terrible fight. I'm getting the laptop tomorrow. What happens with these questions of yours? They come out for a minute and they disappear on the iPad. So it's hard for me to keep track of them. I apologize. But the person, Dorothy, who had the falling out, and it's all about support. When you're in a crisis, you got to go to your therapist. Hopefully, all of you are in some sort of a support group, even if it's a 12-step group like AA or Al-Anon. We got to be around other people to heal. And of course, if you're going through a hard time, up your medication. If you're on medication, increase your exercise. Let me just see what this says here. We had a terrible fight. I'm desperate, feel suicidal. I'll have to put my force. I have no one to help me. Dorothy, there are people to help you. There are people. I don't know. I think you're in the UK, but go online. Okay, what I'm going to do when I get my what is it called? My laptop. I do these things every Wednesday and Sunday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. I'm going to have a list of links to depression chat groups online. So if you feel there's nobody around you in your immediate environment who can help you, you can go online and chat with people. It's not the same as having a face-to-face person, but it's some sort of communication and connection. So There are people out there. What about Dorothy? What about the crisis line? You know, when I was depressed and suicidal, I would call the Multnomah County crisis line every day. Call them or find your therapist. Thomas, I think there comes a time when you realize the enormous amount. Hold on. I think there comes a time when you spend more or less time being depressed. Make supreme effort to change. Absolutely. Corley says, thank you so much. I hope they give the ECT treatment. I can't wait to buy your book about depression. Watch a few of your videos. Healing from Depression, 12 Weeks to a Better Mood is the name of the book. I called the suicide prevention hotline because I've been going through depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts. To go to the ER, should I go even though I'm scared? Yeah, well, if you have suicidal thoughts, Amber, I went to the emergency room on January 5th, 2016. They did an evaluation. They put me at St. Vincent's Hospital. It saved my life. So there is a time and a place. Now, how do you know when it's time to come off your antidepressants? Wow. No, Katie, you can't really be fully recovered. And getting off antidepressants is a very individual thing. Some people can do it, some people can't. Work with your psychiatrist, do it very, very gradually, and go down one tiny bit at a time. If you start to feel like you're relapsing, go back up. You probably need to stay on them. The person about going to the emergency room, yes, do go there. Have someone go there. It's very scary to go to the ER room. Have someone go there with you. My wife, Joan, went there with me in 2016. Hopefully, if you're lucky, there'll be a bed. The thing about a hospital is there's two reasons a person would need to go into the psychiatric hospital. One is there danger hurting themselves or others, right? Or two, they can't take care of themselves and they're not safe. Like my client who relapsed and is now homeless. She lost her car, she lost her phone. She's not able to take care of herself. But if you are feeling suicidal and you're afraid you might harm yourself, by all means go to the ER. At least the hospital will give you a place to chill out. They're not going to cure you. It's short term, it's crisis management and stabilization, but at least you'll be safe. Hopefully when you get out, they'll refer you to something called IOP, Intensive Outpatient Program. Here in Portland, Oregon, anybody who goes into the Providence system in terms of their hospitals will come out and be in a 2 to 6 week program where they have counseling in groups 6 hours a day. It's fantastic, and help them get back into the community. Okay, what does the next person say? Oh, hey Danielle, always nice to hear from you. Popped 40 milligrams of Valium, not only because I was getting Mirena, it was a wonderful feeling, but I hope I won't do it again yet. 40 milligrams of Valium, you shouldn't really get in the habit of doing that. Do you have microdosing? Yes, microdosing psilocybin for anxiety and depression. Big article in the New York Times about a professor here in Vancouver, Washington, who did that and got better, but it was under the auspices of a psychologist who basically was licensed to do that. I wouldn't self-medicate if I were you, because for some people, psilocybin can really, it can be like a bad acid trip. Hi from Lithuania. Hi Doug, how's it going? Lee, it's going great. It's going to be 70 degrees again, just like yesterday in Portland. How can you beat that on October 25th? In terms of the microdosing of psilocybin, it's always good to do these things with someone watching over you. I know I've taken psilocybin. I did it a lot when I was in college. I loved it. When you're mentally unstable, even small doses could rack your brains. But it has been shown that microdoses can help people for sure. The best thing that can help people really is you have to have a lifestyle with support and with habits like exercise, diet, and sleep. And with therapy can be hugely important. So if you're going to microdose the psilocybin, you can basically try it out, hopefully under the direction of somebody, but it's not going to be your only cure. You have to do other things too. Do you hear that buzzer? That's my wife's buzzer going off, and she's on the elliptical, so she can't turn it off. So I've just closed my office door. Okay, any connection between depression and cheating? You mean cheating on your spouse or cheating on a test? I'm not quite sure what you mean from that, but if anybody's acting out, oftentimes depression can lead to unhealthy behaviors like drinking or using drugs or doing really, really unhelpful behavior. So I'm not quite sure what you meant by cheating. Let me go ahead and see what other questions there are here. Lithuania, traveling through Southeast Asia this year. Majority of locals I met don't see depression as anything serious. Well, the majority of people there don't know what they're talking about. Hit the snooze button On what? On the, well, yeah, but the problem is that thing is halfway across the living room. Okay, it's gone. After 60 seconds, it turns itself off. It's cheating on your spouse. Yeah, well, I have just experienced or encountered in my groups 5 cases of people cheating on their spouses, both the people in the group and the people outside the group. This is definitely showing that, there is something, they're obviously not happy, otherwise they wouldn't do it. Is it depression? In some cases, yes. In some cases, no. But it's definitely not a good idea to do it. The fallout and the pain it causes is tremendous. I said in my earlier video that the #1 cause of depression is loss of love, through death, through divorce, through cheating, through affairs, through death of a pet. Someone mentioned about the death of a 16-year-old dog, I think. That can trigger depression as much as the death of a family member, really. I mean, your relationship with your pets is incredibly strong. I did a video called The Role of Pets in Healing from Depression. So to that person, I would get grief counseling just as if you lost a family member. I'd go to a therapist. There are grief groups here in Portland, Oregon, 12-week groups run by Providence Hospital. Daniel says, my mom's friend who's a doctor said vitamins don't really help, just eat healthy. I would kind of agree with that for the most, but there's an exception. There are a couple of vitamins you do need to take. If you're a vegan, you need to take B12. Everybody needs to be taking vitamin D, especially those in climates like mine where it's cloudy a lot. Zinc and iodine are 2 other vitamins that people are often deficient in. In terms of B vitamins, if you eat a lot of grains and whole foods, you're probably okay. Vitamin C, vitamin A, fruits and vegetables. So yeah, I think for the most part you don't need supplements, but vitamin D, zinc, iodine, and vitamin B12 are something you should really be aware of and get tested for vitamin D, because low vitamin D can be a cause of depression. Amber Rogers says, sometimes I feel something's wrong with me for experiencing this. Why do I get depression and anxiety? Well, you get into depression, anxiety, and suicide thoughts is because you have a brain, you have a nervous system that is imbalanced. What could I tell you? I mean, why did I come out of the womb? Why, when I was like 2 weeks old, someone closed the nursery door and I jumped out of my, almost up to the ceiling out of my crib? I had a hypersensitive nervous system. There's a book called The Highly Sensitive Person by Elaine Ahrens. Some people are just born more sensitive, more melancholic. It's temperamental, right? What did the Greeks say? We had 4 humors, right? What was it? Melancholic, phlegmatic, choleric, and sanguine, right? So the melancholic humor, melancholia means black bile. People had too much black bile in them. So the Greeks thought there was an organic cause from depression. They were really smart. What was that, about 2,000 years ago, maybe more? When did the Greeks, 600 BC, AD? Who knows? My math is bad, 1,500 years ago. But yeah, the reason you're feeling depressed and anxious is because 2 things. One is there's a dysregulation in your nervous system, and then it's situational. Maybe you're, someone close to you died. Of course you're going to feel depression and anxious. But the thing is, no matter how you got there, the answer is always the same. You've got to get into mental health recovery. That's the whole reason I wrote the book, Healing from Depression, which I should have here. I can grab it from my closet and show it to you to basically... Oh, by the way, speaking of that, I also do live coaching one-on-one. If you want to go to my website, healingfromdepression.com, you should check that out. And if you want to support this channel, there's something called the Super Chat button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. You can click on that and make a small donation. But yeah, so I hope that answers your question about why you're feeling depressed and anxious. It's a combination of environment and inheritance, or genetics and environment. There's an interplay between the two. Difference between isolating and wanting some solitude? Very, very good question. Introverts need solitude. The difference between that, healthy solitude is something we all need. Isolating means you're withdrawing from people when you know you need connection, and it's sort of, I won't say an escape, but it damages your mental health. So if you're just in solitude and you're meditating, that's fine. But when people isolate, that means that they're oftentimes going into withdrawal when what they need to be doing is staying connected with people. Yes, you answered my question. I go through a lot of loneliness, so I will buy your book. Thank you. So afraid of living but scared of dying. I'm burning myself with a lighter. I can't stop. My head is a mess. My mind is telling me this is a horrible person. No, Dorothy, you're not horrible. I have a lot of people who do self-harm in my groups. Why do people burn their arms with a cigarette or cut like this? Because the physical pain allows them a temporary relief from the psychological pain. That's what's going on. So really, you're not a terrible person. You're just in pain and you're trying to cope. Cutting yourself, burning yourself is a coping strategy. That is why people do it. I did a video. Go to my, you're probably on my channel, but go put in cutting or something. I did a beautiful interview with a 22-year-old gal from my support group who had been cutting since she had been, I think, in middle school or high school and overcame. And it's a very touching story. Her name is Heather. Back from the Brink, Heather's story. Well, she has two videos. Something about, I don't forget the cutting one exactly, the title. But anyway, no, you're not a bad person. Don't tell yourself. There are a lot of people who are cutters. It's much more common than you think. We just don't talk about it because there's so much shame about it. There's so much embarrassment. I mean, it seems kind of ridiculous to hurt yourself, but no, there's a logic behind it. So what you need to do is you need to find other ways to basically find, strategies for that. By the way, there's some books sitting there that I want to get rid of. Well, sorry that my desk is a mess over there. There we go. That should look a little bit more civilized. Miss Fire, hey, got a new support system? Keep reaching out. Yeah, excellent. Keep reaching out. That is the name of the game. Keep reaching out until you get the support that you need. Kelly, I self-harm and deep down I know it's not healthy. However, I feel like I will never stop because I don't see a problem with it. Well, Katie, what you probably need to do is you probably need to find a therapist or a support group. And there is a problem. Hurting your body, damaging yourself, that is a problem. Your physical body is probably not too happy about that. I mean, it may feel psychologically good, but physically, just think about it. But always reach out for help. Peter says, I take 15 milligrams of Remeron to make sleep. It works very well, but I'm drowsy the next day and put on weight. Do you know any other SSRI that has the same effect without side effects? Excellent question. Try Trazodone. That's another antidepressant that helps you sleep. We had a guy in our group who actually was too thin, wasn't putting on enough weight, so they gave him Remeron because it increases appetite, and he put on weight. He needed to put on weight. That was a good thing. But I would try Trazodone. Elavil also puts on weight, but it might not be as bad as Remeron. By the way, we have enough people here. I have to tell my regular jokes. I'm sorry, you guys, but here are two ones I really liked. They're both about scarecrows. Don't you love The Wizard of Oz? The Scarecrow was my favorite person, Ray Bolger. I used to see that film every year here in America. They played it every Easter or in the beginning of the year. Anyway, so why did the Scarecrow miss his dinner? Because he was stuffed. Oh my God, I can't believe I said that. Okay, here's a second Scarecrow joke. Why did the Scarecrow become a successful doctor? He was outstanding in his field. Really? People like that. Okay, so there are my two Scarecrow jokes. We'll tell some more later on. Okay, let's go back to questions. Hang in there, Miss Fire. Joke time, says maybe. Trazodone, Trazadone. I'll spell it again. Hi, Timothy. Trazadone. Trazodone, also known as I forgot the trade, Restoril or something. But Trazodone is the name you need to remember. That's the chemical name. Also, Elavil, Elavil. Miss Firejack, maybe try a different med. The first med I tried didn't work. The second did. Yes, that's always true. Support group do you offer on your website costs money. I tried to find groups here and I live in Las Vegas. I have a couple of other people from Las Vegas who have been writing me. Why don't you email me, Douglas Bloch, Douglas Bloch, Bloch, at gmail.com, and I'll try to put you in touch with other people. My support group does cost money, but you have to be in Portland, Oregon to do it. And I do coaching over the phone for 12 weeks. That's $50 a session, which is a lot less expensive than a therapist or a psychiatrist. And people really get better. It's a 12-week program based on my book. But in terms of the support group that I run two of them. You have to be in Portland. But I'm going to basically be starting something called Patreon, which is a crowdsourcing site which helps support creators like me for small contributions per month, like $5, $10, the rewards. And one of the rewards will be, I'm going to be running an online support group for a number of people for very little money, maybe $5 or $10 a month, and then you can participate in that. But in the meantime, try to find people in your area. Just taking 40 milligrams of diazepam for anxiety. Wow, that's a huge amount of Valium. Usually you take 10 to 15, so I don't know, are you doing this on your own or because you're prescribed? By the way, National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, go to their website and find their branch in Las Vegas, Nevada. They have free support groups. The person from Las Vegas They run it. NAMI.org. O-R-G is their website. National Alliance on Mental Illness. Again, once I get my laptop, I'll be able to type all these things out and you'll be able to see them. Did you like the scarecrow joke? I thought it was pretty good, actually. I may have to tell another one. It's time to take my medication. See, my Apple Watch is ringing, but I have it on silent. Well, it says snooze. I guess another 15 to 20 minutes I'll be able to take my medication. You're so kind and thoughtful. Your live chats are online for so many here. Where I live in Scotland, there are no support groups. Good joke, thank you. How could there be no support groups in Scotland? My name is Douglas. You know, it's a Scottish name. It means by the Black Stream or the Dark River. I love my Scottish name. I lived in Scotland for 6 months in a place called Forres. You must know where it is, Forres on the North Sea. Actually, I was in Findhorn, where they grow large vegetables. It's a spiritual community. I hope you've heard of it. It's really famous. Yolanda says, hello, Doug. Hello, Yolanda. Nice to see you. But anyway, there got to be support groups in Scotland. Come on, especially in the largest cities. Hey, Arcade Cup, nice to hear from you. If one has dysthymia, would moods of elevation not be possible? I'm working on analyzing what I will. Learning to cyclothymia may be up to. Highlights with these, I'm not quite sure. Hi, Doug, says Greg. You know, if you have dysthymia, I have dysthymia. I can get up ticks and mood. All I have to do is hang out with a good friend, eat a good meal, or ride my bike to the top of Rocky Butte where the endorphins go. So if you have low-grade chronic depression, you can definitely, have a really, really good mood. And by the way, you notice the paintings up there behind me? They're from my goddaughter when she was in elementary school. There's a river up there in the upper left. That was when I was in the mental hospital. I love art therapy. See this little bracelet here? I made that when I was at Providence. I still carry it around as a souvenir. Yeah, art therapy is really cool, by the way, even if you're not in the hospital. Doing things with your hands. I also support making collages. I should bring one next time. When a picture's worth 1,000 words. So if you want to set the intention to heal, pick out fun images of mental health recovery and put them in a little, cut them out and put them in a collage. I should do a whole video just on collages. I'm going to. Thank you for the great idea. Okay, let's see what's going on here. What is joke? What is ET for short? I don't know, Cade. Answer, because he's got short legs. Uh-oh. There you have it. If one has dysthymia, when I'm leaning towards cyclothymia, maybe, I don't know, what is BP? Oh, bipolar 2. Oh yeah, well, I have cyclothymia also. I have bipolar 2. What did I say? You can have two things at once. Bipolar 2 is where you have this hypomanic, a little bit of hypomania, and down depression. Yeah, bipolar 2 is not so bad. It can be controlled with lifestyle. You don't need to be on lithium, although some people do. Hello, Douglas. Have you ever heard of tried 5-HTP or other vitamins? Yeah, 5-HTP is helpful. It's a precursor to serotonin. Other vitamins for depression, and vitamins have never really helped me, but I know that if you have a balanced diet, you're going to be better off. 5-HTP has been around for ages. You can do research on the internet. No harm lost if you tried it. There's no really bad side effects. Hopefully your body will convert that to tryptophan and then to serotonin. But some people believe in orthomolecular psychiatry, like large doses of vitamin B, like niacin or thiamine, vitamin B1, vitamin B3. You can try it out, but stay away from coffee if you have anxiety. Mamie, of course. What else is new, right? Yeah, you know what anxiety is about? It's about the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, right? Coffee gets you jacked up. By the way, a lot of people in my groups are starting to take Adderall for depression, a stimulant, which has its problems because it gets them out of their funk and their torpor, but it can make you really irritated and it can be addictive. So watch out with the stimulants. Some people don't know this. I'm not quite sure what you meant maybe when you said some people don't know this, but you can clarify. Hello from Michigan. Hey, Julie. My God, it's so good to see you again. Yeah, thank you for the nice comment on my channel. We have our regulars here. Okay, here's another joke I thought of while I was falling asleep. That's when you can get really good ideas and creativity. This is just something I made up. I didn't get it from anybody else. But what did the locomotive engineer say when he was losing interest in his work? I've got to get back on track. I love puns, don't you? All right, so keep the questions coming. I want to go back to what I was saying at the beginning of this video about resiliency, my last video. I should show you some pictures of the phoenix bird rising from the ashes. That is what everybody does who comes back from a major depression. And I bet a lot of you on this who are watching right now have been severely depressed and have come out of it, even if it's only temporary. People can get better. Cade says, ha ha. Okay, I'm glad you like my joke, Cade. But seriously, you should never ever give up hope. I have seen people, okay, so in this video, uh, I had a friend who had almost drowned, had major brain damage. They thought he would never, they'd be a vegetable. 2 weeks later, he's up, he's talking, he's breathing, he's walking. The doctors have no explanation. He's young, he was 30 years old, so that's all they could say. He was young. Well, big deal, right? But all sorts of miracles happen. You should never count anybody out, including yourself. I promise you, I have been to hell and back. I've been raised from the dead in 1976, in 1982, in 1997, in 2015. That's 4 times at least I've been raised from the dead. Literally. I mean, by dead, I mean suicidal depression, obsessed with suicide every day, minor attempts, never a serious attempt. In the hospital, not able to think, not able to concentrate. Joy has gone down the tubes. Darkness, darkness. Do you believe in God? Yes, and by God I mean a universal intelligence that is benevolent. I believe in what the people in AA call a higher power. I'm looking outside right at the beautiful fall trees. I'm looking at the design order of the universe, of nature, of the skies. I just can't believe it's completely random. But, God is very personal. That's why I like in AA when they talk about, what is that? I turn myself over to my higher power as I understand him, right? The 3 steps of, the 12 steps, right? My life is unmanageable. I turn my life over to my higher power, and I let the higher power guide and direct my way. So yes, I believe that there is grace. There have been guardian angels in my life. Unitarian Universalist, yeah, that's cool. I like Unitarians. My godson's grandfather was a Unitarian. There's a guy named Robert Fulgham who wrote a book called Everything You Ever Needed to Learn, You Learned in Kindergarten. He was a Unitarian. I feel like that too because I feel like I'm losing my fight to live and want to live. I feel like I'm giving up on myself. Amber, find people who will not give up with you and also pray. Say, higher power universe, please help me out. They say in AA there are no atheists in foxholes. I believe the universe is responsive. So Amber, write a simple vision statement saying, I am recovering from my illness and I'm whole and well. And just look at that every day. But have other people around you. I mean, call me if you need to, right? Send me an email. I'll give you my personal phone number, and you can call me, and I'll chat with you for 15 minutes at no charge if you need some uplifting information. Not encouragement. You don't need information. You need encouragement. You need hope. It's what you need. Everyone is an atheist until the plane goes down. LOL. Yeah. I'm referring to the God comment, of course, Julie. I mean, that's why they say in AA there were no atheists in foxholes. For those of you who are too young, a foxhole is something that in World War I, when there was trench warfare, the soldiers used to dig foxholes and crawl down in them, so when the bombs hit, they'd be safe. But meanwhile, they're scared out of their wits because they know once they get out on the battlefield, they're going to be mowed down. So they're praying, God, please, please protect me. That's what it means when they say there were no atheists in foxholes. And so yeah, when the shit hits the fan, excuse me for that comment, but that's when people get down on their knees and say help. But I happen to think that there is a benevolent higher power that is there for us. I mean, I can only tell you this from my own experience and the experience of my clients. I mean, fortunately, with one exception, we've never lost anybody yet in 17 years, and I shouldn't say that because I'll jinx myself. You discovered the comment about the sun streaming in the window. Oh, did I make a comment about the sun streaming in the window? I said it's sunny outside. I don't know if it's streaming in the window, but yeah, it's grace when you have a nice day in Oregon on October 25th of any year. So you're more resilient than you think. Check out the last video. By the way, the next video coming up on Monday, the 30th, is called Does Depression Really Heal Anxiety? Duh. What do you think? Of course, wait a minute, I said that backwards. I'm dyslexic. Does anxiety really heal depression? By the way, did you hear about the dyslexic, insomniac, agnostic? An agnostic is someone who's not sure if God exists. And a dyslexic is someone who reverses, words. Well, this person stayed awake all night thinking, is there a dog? I hope some of you got that. The agnostic, dyslexic, insomniac, right? Stayed awake all night, is there a dog? Cool, says Julie. I don't know if that's a joke or something else. But yeah, no, people can recover. They do recover. You will recover. I wonder what triggered Stephen Paddock. Looked at his brain and they said it was good. That will be, Timothy, that will be a mystery forever. That is scary. when a person becomes psychotic and kills innocent people and there's no apparent reason, this is where one of my spiritual teachers thinks that there are actually entities on the other side who could come in and take over you like a possession. That's a good an explanation as any. Why would a perfectly rational man spend weeks plotting out this completely evil deed with absolutely no stress or explanation? I think he was just taken over by a bad spirit. Oh, who is Stephen Paddock? Oh, Stephen Paddock is the guy who a couple of weeks ago, from a hotel room in Las Vegas at a country music concert, went ahead and killed 56 people, the largest mass shooting in the history in America, and wounded about 300 others for no apparent reason. That's who Stephen Paddock is. Demons or spirits? Yeah, I think that's what they did. Anyway, he was an accountant. He meticulously plotted out this thing for weeks. He had tons of ammunition in his hotel room. And this was very premeditated, very thought out, and there's no motive. The police are going crazy because they can't find a motive for this guy. Everybody should have a motive, even if it's psychotic. Like the guy who killed, who took a pop at Reagan, President Reagan, thought that if he did so, Jodie Foster, the actress, would like him. Oh wow, exhaustive. Thank you for the donation, Arcade Cup. Exhausting exercise gives me hours of elation. You better believe it. Say that again I want you to say that comment again. Exhausting exercise gives me hours of elation. I may do a video on that. That's exactly true. Because your brain changes. Your brain changes as much through exhaustive exercise as through taking psilocybin, marijuana, alcohol, cocaine, or antidepressants. But thank you again, Arcade Cup. But you know what? No bad side effects. You don't come down and crash. You don't get wired. You don't get can't get over it. Thank you, KBob177. Videos are helpful. I'm going to a healing room where people pray over you to release energy. Not a bad idea. What does your workout schedule look like on a weekly basis? Says Peter. Oh, Spark is a great. Could you please post that again, Greg? Spark is the best book on exercise out there. Please post that again for the viewers. Really, I would grab a copy off my bookshelf and show it to you, or maybe I will. If I can see it. Well, I have so many, you can imagine I have so many books on depression. No, there it is. Hold on. Can someone see this here? Spark by Timothy. It's Ratey, R-A-T-E-Y. What does the subtitle say? The revolutionary new science of exercise on the brain. I want everybody to go to the library or to Amazon.com and get this book. I only get a 10% kickback, I promise you. No, I think it's 15% by now. Anyway, I'm joking, of course, but this book is amazing. Here it is. Listen to what the subtitle says. Supercharge your mental circuits to beat stress, sharpen your thinking, lift your mood, boost your memory, and much, much more. That's a lot, but it's all true. So the evidence is incontrovertible. Aerobic exercise physically remodels our brains for peak performance. This guy's an author. He's a renowned psychiatrist. So, Greg, did you say that? Did you recommend that book? Kudos to you. I should basically donate to you now. No, this is really a book that changed my life. Maybe I'm going to a prayer room with my dad later today at church I went to as a child. Greg says, yep. And Greg posted a little smile. Greg, where do you live, by the way? Maybe you live down the street from me. We can go jogging together. Which is the better antidepressant or SSRIs? Please choose one. Okay, so let me look at that question again. I would say, oh, you live in Philly. Hey, my best friend lives in Philly. She lives in Bala Cynwyd. The link below and the commission from Amazon. I can teach you what? You should always talk about books. Yeah, well, books are tremendous. So someone had a question here that I want to get back to because I got distracted. And what was that? Oh, better antidepressants. So, Cade, from mild to moderate depression, I mean mild, where you're going on the mood scale from 1 to 10, right? 1 to 10 this way, where 10 is elated and 1 is suicidally depressed. If you're mostly between a 4 and a 4 and a 5, exercise I think works as well, if not better than antidepressants. But if you're really severely depressed and you have a hard time getting out of bed and even walking out the door, then exercise is not going to quite do it. I mean, you can still walk around the block, but that's when you need chemicals. There is a place and a time for antidepressants. They have helped many people. But for mild depression, exercise, I'd say, would be the better choice because it doesn't have the side effects and it's something you don't need a prescription for. But use the exercise. If you don't feel any better, then go to the antidepressant. Everything is about trial and error. This is very pragmatic. Everything that I've figured out over the last 50 years, and especially the last 20, It's all a matter of just trying stuff out and seeing what works. And that's what psychiatrists do too. I'm in so much pain I can't stand it. I feel like somebody is standing on my chest. I can't, and I keep over medicating. Hope I won't feel up. I'm still here. Like, Dorothy, you've got to get some help. I would go to the hospital if I were you. Seriously, when you are that severely symptomatic, you need to go to the hospital. Be in a container. Be around people who care about you. Oh, Julie says, let's email chat. Oh, good. I'm great. Are you talking to me or somebody? Maybe and Julie. Great. Yeah, it's all about horizontal support and connection. But Dorothy, can you hear me? You really need to go to a local psychiatric hospital if you can make it. Now, I know they're dismal places, but when I went the last time, there were some really loving nurses and counselors, and the psychiatrist I had was fantastic. There can be healing in psych wards. And remember, you're only going to be there for a couple of days or a couple of weeks. But you are obviously overwhelmed by your pain, and unless you can find some outpatient support, you really should get help in that area. I know, can you afford it? Hang on, don't give up. Of course, Amber, thank you for saying that. There is resurrection, there is healing. There's a video I have called, it's called A Reason for Hope During Hard Times, where I talk about all the time. I'll pray for you, Dorothy. Don't do anything bad. Those of you who want to pray for Dorothy, there's something called Silent Unity. It's a toll-free number in America that you can call 24 hours a day. And it's 1-800-669-7729. You should put her on that prayer list. Kate, I'm in pain. I'm so happy the past months. I can feel depression creeping back when I'm tired. After work, when something goes wrong, I get suicidal thoughts, not sure how to help myself. When you get suicidal thoughts, tell yourself this too shall pass. I went to inpatient hospital, says Julia, it helped. There comes that cough again. I may have to get some water. 1-800-669-7729. I'm going to grab my phone right now because there's a number you can call from the UK, because that toll-free number I gave you only works in America. I think Dorothy lives in Scotland or someplace in the UK, so give me a second. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to look up in my little contact sheet for Silent Unity. So just give me a second here. You guys can keep asking questions. Silent Unity. Okay, so if you're out of the country, it's 816-969-2000. You have to call the country code, I think, in America, which I think is 01 or 011. Anyway, you can look it up. So if you're in the UK, call the country code for the United States and then dial 816-969-2000. That's 816-969-2000. They're available 24 hours a day. Whenever any of my clients get suicidal or they go into a crisis, I put their name on Silent Unity, and lo and behold, they feel better. So I think that something would be really good for you guys to try out. Unity.org has an online prayer request. Wow, you just Googled it. Timothy, you're a genius. Go to unity.org. And Timothy, where do you find this online prayer request on this website? Is it obvious? Do you have to go to the top of the page, the bottom of the page? That's great. Online prayer requests, fantastic. And they do a good job. I'm praying for you, Dorothy. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm crying because you are so kind. Well, Dorothy, you should check into these live chats twice a week, Wednesday and Sunday. I may do it Saturday and Sunday too. I just Googled Silent Unity. Thank you, Timothy, so much. So, Dorothy, if you tune in, I guess it's 8 hours. Damn. Are we back? We're back. Well, that's what happens when you basically don't turn off your phone. That was strange, wasn't it? That was my nephew who's going through a difficult time. Did you guys? Oh, you're in love, Dorothy. Going to hang on to. You can do it. Thank you, Amber, for those wonderful thoughts. I'm going to actually turn off You Are Not Alone, You Are Loved. Thank you, Julie. Anyway, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put this on airport. Smart idea, Doug. No more calls interrupting you. Airplane mode. That takes care of that. Dorothy, tune in twice a week and get all this love from the people here. And Dorothy, if you can maybe post your email address, people can start emailing you. I know there are some other people from the UK who tune into this. This can be your online support for right now on Wednesday and Sunday at 8 a.m. and at 8 p.m. and 7 p.m. your times. Reach out to the people here. Call Silent Unity. Go on their website. you can get support. It is not hopeless. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. We've had people come into my group who've tried to commit suicide 1, 2, and 3 times and finally survived. So, you know, there is help. You may need to go to the hospital part-time. I would pray for help. And I would check. Dorothy, do you live in Scotland or do you live in the UK? I don't quite remember, but, you know, see if there are groups around or at least a local crisis line. But there are online chat groups. Very uplifting chat today, Doug. Well, thank you, Mamie. This is all about giving people hope. Experience, what does they say in AA? Does anybody here belong to a 12-step group? Experience, hope, and strength. That's what they talk about in AA. What time do you stream? Hang in there, Dorothy. Thank you, Douglas, and everyone here. Ditto, lifesaver. So, 12 p.m. West Coast time in the United States of America. So we are 8 hours from Greenwich. So you go figure it out wherever you are. Greenwich time is 8 hours earlier, later than we are, right? Yeah. So when it's noon here, it's 8 p.m. in London. It's then what is it? 3 p.m. in the East Coast and 2 p.m. in Central Time, 1 p.m. Mountain Time, except I don't know if any of you. Sometimes we get people from India calling. I think that's like 12 and a half hours. So what would that be? Well, that'd be midnight. Well, you got to be a night owl to see me. Ever do a video on cognitive impairment and depression? It's tough if you have a demanding job. Yeah. No, that's a great idea. I should do a video on how to survive at work when you're depressed. Can you go ahead and email me that idea again? Douglas, Douglas, block, BLOCH @gmail.com. Keep coming to those live streams, Dorothy. Well, I'll help you through this, says Lee. Yes, David, it's really tough. You're doing great. Cognitive impairment. Yes, when you're depressed, you can't think. And you can't focus, and it's very, really, really difficult. Sometimes people have to take leaves of absence. You know, there's something called medical leave of absence here in America. My nephew just did that. The guy who called and interrupted us, he just took a medical leave of absence for a brief period of time. Actually, he didn't, but he's thinking about it. I live in Scotland near Glasgow. Where do you say can get help? Well, if you live near Glasgow, I would go ahead and call the mental health agency in Glasgow. There's got to be something. Go look it up. What days do you do live chats? For right now, it's Wednesday and Sunday. But I think more people watch me on Sunday, but there's a lot of you guys on here, so maybe I should do one during the week and one on the weekend. But essentially, it's, by the way, look at these comments coming. Can you see that on the screen? I hope you can. I can. So Wednesday and Sunday, 11 on Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, and noon on Sunday Pacific time. Those are the two every week on the week. And every Monday at 7 a.m. Pacific time, I upload a new video. You can count on it. And by the way, I'm going to start doing more videos per week. I'm going to have a video every week on affirmations and one on inspirational quotations. The whole gist, why do people abuse animals? Oh my God, I don't know. It's evil. I don't think it's a mental health issue. I think there is something called human evil, and I think people who do that, although it could be mental health, that they might be in so much pain that they're taking it on something more helpless. That it could be mental. It is definitely a mental illness of some kind. Do you have any thoughts on feeling overwhelmed? When I wake up, I think about my life to-do list. Yeah. What you have to do not to feel overwhelmed is you have to basically take things in small bites, Greg. First of all, 1 day at a time, 1 hour at a time. I created a to-do list, but you know what I do? I tell myself, I have 10 things to do today. If I only get 3 accomplished, it's okay. So tell yourself you don't have to do everything all the time. Nobody can get done everything they want to do. It's impossible. Even people who are high functioning and very successful will tell you the same thing. I never have enough time to do everything I want to do. That's the one thing there's a shortage of in this world. Not money, but time. Everybody's only got 24 hours a day, 168 hours a week. Is that right? Someone do the math. 7 times 24. I think it's 168. Let me know if I'm wrong. Anyway, 168 hours a week. Even a billionaire, even Bill Gates, can't get more than 168 hours a week. You know what Bill Gates used to do when he was the head of Microsoft? He used to take a vacation for 2 weeks and go on a reading festival. All the books he couldn't read when he was working 12 hours a day at Microsoft or 16 hours a day, he'd go and spend 2 weeks reading the books. That's a brilliant idea. I need to do that. I'm a workaholic. I'm too busy helping you guys. I need a vacation. Help! Okay, no, shut up, Douglas. You have to do what you're doing. Actually, I am planning on going to Costa Rica with my brother sometime in March of next year, so I finally give myself a break. Laugh out loud. Thank you, Douglas. I think when was the last vacation I went? It was about 1976. I don't know, I forget. Anyway, a joke. See, I exaggerate to be funny. Actually, I did go with my partner Joan back to New York to see my brother in June. It was wonderful. Anybody ever been to New York City, the Big Apple? It's a great place to visit, but I wouldn't want to live there. But I grew up there for 22 years, and I got the hell out. I find structure is best. Yes, 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 yes. Give you something to look forward to. David, you've hit the mark. You've hit it on the mark. I have a whole video on structure. And matter of fact, I have a video coming out in 2 weeks called The Best Way to Avoid Anxiety, Get Occupied. On the weekends, when I was doing my intensive outpatient program, when I woke up and didn't have something to do, my anxiety made me go like this. I was absolutely crazy. Entertaining. Well, too much trash in the streets of New York. Well, no, they've cleaned it up a bit. The graffiti on the subways is better, but yeah, I need to basically David Starkweather. I don't know who's Greg and who's David. Whoever mentioned the thing about structure, I got to emphasize that you have to have something to look forward to. You have to have something to do. You cannot heal from mental health issues without basically having a place to go and something to do. Even if it's going out for a cup of coffee with a friend, or even if it's going to the gym, or even if it's going to your outpatient program or your therapist, even if it's taking a walk with your dog. We got a gal in my group who that's her structure. She gets up and every day at 11 a.m. she walks her dog. You've got to have something on the calendar that when you wake up, instead of pulling the covers over, my mother had to throw cold water on me to get me to go to high school, to get me to go to school. It worked. You know why? I never missed a day of high school, never missed one day. You know what happened? They announced that at graduation and everybody booed me. I feel so ashamed. I went to high school every day. Where did it get me? I just had a breakdown the next year. It took me a long time to learn that. Well, better late than never. So, yeah, if you can't get up in the morning like I can't, you have to have something to go do. So, I used to have a very helpful video. What is your advice on the personalization? That is the one thing I've never had direct experience of. I can say about all these things I'm telling you because I've gone through them. So if someone can maybe send me an email and tell me about douglasblog@gmail.com, tell me, this depersonalization is sort of like where you're detached and you're kind of looking at yourself from the outside and things are unreal. There must be websites about how to get over that, or must be people who specialize. But I need to learn that myself, at least from reading about it, because people ask me that, and I can't draw upon my own personal experience because I haven't been through it. But it's an issue. So anybody who's had personal experience with depersonalization or derealization, just go ahead and email me, douglasblock, DOUGLAS block @gmail.com. Oh yeah, Big No No does depersonalization. Very good. Big No No is a friend of mine. He lives in Portland. We've done videos together. Any of you who have seen his channel, you've seen me being interviewed. He's very nice to me. He says, this guy, I wouldn't listen to him at all. He's a complete nutcase. That's what he says. No, he doesn't. He actually says nice things about me, as I do about him. Hi, Noah. I hope you're listening. But he does good videos on depersonalization. Very, very good. Noah Thomas. Look him up on YouTube. We have 7 minutes and 19 seconds left until the hour. Now, as you can see, I can talk for 3 hours on this, but I have, I've got my life. What's on my to-do list today? Well, I got to go to the computer store to get some stuff, and then in the afternoon, guess what? I have to write a new script. If I'm going to churn out these video scripts once a week and do these videotapes once a week, this stuff doesn't just come out of the air. You got to think about it. You got to research it. So, thank you for that $2 gift, whoever gave it. I forgot, but it takes time and energy to do this. And hopefully, with my Patreon live page, which I'll share with you guys, I'll be able to have some subscriptions coming in every month. Very, very small, but they all add up. Do about a video on sexual abuse and depression. Wow. Yeah, that is a heavy, heavy topic. What's another great YouTube channel? Thank you. This is great. Thanks. I don't know any of the others. I'm sure there must be other channels on depression recovery out there. I think Katie Morton has a really nice one. But yeah, sexual abuse and depression. Well, sexually, there's physical, there's verbal, there's emotional, and there's sexual. I mean, I think from the research I've done, sexual is the worst of them all. It's a violation. They're all bad. They're all horrible. And so I think if you have been sexually abused, you obviously need to go to a sexual abuse support group. You need to see a therapist who basically specializes in that. You need to do work on releasing trauma. There's a very good book called The Body Keeps the Score. And yes, of course it's going to lead to depression and anxiety. But BIGKNOW, no. That's my friend who does the stuff on derealization. But, sexual abuse is like any traumatic experience. I just had a video I did called How Childhood Trauma can create depression and anxiety as adults. So any trauma can do it. Abandonment, neglect, abuse. Those are the big three. Any type of abuse. So sexual abuse is just one of the big types of abuse. And you know, unfortunately, I know many women. I know men who have been abused as children. Look at The Priesthood. Look at this amazing film that won the Academy Award for Best Picture in 2000. I believe it was 2016, called Spotlight. It's all about sexual abuse in the Catholic Church because many of these priests were abused themselves. I mean, and then they passed it on. Spotlight's a great film. It won the Academy Award. So it's a huge problem. It's not talked about, and Spotlight brought light to it. Interesting, maybe that's why they called the film Spotlight. But yeah, so if you have had sexual abuse, there are lots and lots of resources. The Courage to Heal is a seminal book. Someone said I should recommend books. The Courage to Heal, all about how to overcome sexual abuse and how to recover. It's 12-step program is very good. Yes, there are 12-step programs for abuse. Doug, could you talk a little bit more about your support, how your support group works? Sure. People meet 2.5 hours every week. The first half hour, I talk about educational stuff from my book and from other resources, exercise, cognitive therapy, medication, prayer, meditation, light therapy, you name it. And then for the next 2 hours, people go around and they check in. They talk about how their week went, what their goals were, how they're doing, what kind of help they might need. And the other people in the group come together and create a field, a community where people can give and receive mutual support and replace the symptoms of anxiety and depression with those of wellness and joy. It works amazingly well. Ask anybody who goes to Alcoholics Anonymous or a 12-step group. The group energy is very, very powerful. So it's a combination of education and support. And you know what? If you don't have a group in your area and you feel like you don't have social anxiety, you could start one. God knows there's a need for them. You don't have to be a therapist. You can just be a lay healer like I am. I mean, I do have 2 degrees in therapy, but that's not why I do this, and that's not what informs me. Depression expression is great. Love that kind. Yeah. So yeah, you can maybe start one in your area. I don't know, but they're very, very helpful. And if you can find one, great. If you can't, call NAMI, NAMI.org, or go to their website. I mean, they have support groups in all the states around the United States. And so if you happen to be, lucky enough to live in America, go to that website. Thanks, guys. It's Kate. Hey, Dorothy, how are you doing? You're still here? I hope that all the love and support that people have shown you during this live chat has helped. You should definitely come back to these. Obviously, they're free. And again, get in Glasgow. I think you're near Glasgow. There must be some good mental health treatment centers. Again, I know it's really tough. I've been there. I've been dealing with this for half a century. Can you believe it? Is that depressing or what? 50 years? Scott is very funny and a great motivator. Check out, what does it say here? Infinite Waters with Ralph. Smart too. He's amazing and so positive. Okay, thank you. Hey, the more the merrier. Infinite Waters. I'll check it out. I mean, we need positive influences in this world. So much of what we get reported on is negative. There's something called disaster fatigue. They had a big article on the New York Times. I love the New York Times. I grew up with it. I still subscribe to it. $36 a month. What is that? 1,000? What is 36 times 30? Anybody know? I teach math. Can that be $1,080 a year? Oh my God, I'm going broke. No, I'm not. Are you way out of your last episode, Doug? So yeah, the Times had something on disaster fatigue. You need to basically limit the amount of exposure you have to the news because it's always bad news. Minute and 48 seconds left. How long have I been well? My depressive episode ended in February of 2016 after I got 8 treatments of ECT, electroconvulsive therapy. I then went to a 6-week outpatient program in Providence, a 1-year DBT program. And no news is good news, says Mamie. Thank you. You're excellent quote. So I've been out about 20 months, 1 year and 8 months, my last episode. I'm hoping I go the same 19 years I went before the 2 episodes. That'll put me at 87. Then I won't care, right? Have Alzheimer's. How do you know when your depression is over, says Wanda? You know your depression is over when you're feeling good most of the time, when you're on a 6, a 5 or a 6 on the mood scale. You know that when you can enjoy things, when you can feel positive, when you can laugh, when you can experience some pleasure, when you're able to reach out and connect with your friends or do stuff. You know your depression is over when you don't feel sad all of the time, when you're able to eat and to sleep. Lee says, you're welcome, Julie. It's really cool the way you guys are chatting with each other. This is fantastic. This is one of my ministries, to get people coming together to help each other. You cannot beat horizontal support, peer support. Still here, Doug, is just listening to the chat and excellent advice. Okay, Dorothy. Feel free to email me, douglasblog@gmail.com. I have trouble sleeping. That's a big problem. Is depression necessarily related to genetics? Of course it is. It runs in families. Everything runs in families. Crime runs in families. Heart disease, cancer, depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, everything runs in families. Everything is genetic. And it's also environmental. It's a combination of the two. So yes, my mother was depressed. She had 5 breakdowns, 5 ECT treatments. My brother's depressed. He's on antidepressants. My cousin had an eating disorder. Another one had a gambling disorder. Bad genes, Doug. Bad genes. Well, here we are. What can we do? You got to work with what you got until what you got works, says my old friend. Hey, it's an hour's gone by. Wow. Time flies when you're having fun. Maybe one more joke. When you get started laughing again, that's how come you knew you were coming out of depression. Yeah, actually, one of my friends said when I lost my sense of humor, she knew I was in serious trouble. When I got it back, I was out. When you know you feel the music, that's when I know. Glad you're here, Dorothy. So, how should we close? I'm going to close with the Serenity Prayer, which I close all my groups with. It's a wonderful prayer that for those of you who feel overwhelmed, or it can give you perspective. Does anyone know it? Thanks for all the help, says Andre. Where are you from? It's a nice, probably a French name, I'm guessing. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That is the Serenity Prayer. I hope that you all say it, think about it. God bless. Remember, Brazil. Hey. I have a couple of friends who have lived down in Brazil. Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Kate. Thank you all for tuning in. Stay tuned on Sunday at noon Pacific time, 8 p.m. British time. You guys were awesome talking to each other. Keep it up. Share email addresses, share phone numbers if you want to. We have to take care of each other. Even in America, the mental health system has its holes. God knows it's worse elsewhere, and so we have to help each other. That's what our brothers and sisters in recovery do. There's 1,000 meetings of 12-step groups in Portland every day, only 3 or 4 of depression, so we have to basically help each other. That is the name of the game. If we can do that, if we can look out for one another, we're all going to get well together. We cannot, you know what Martin Luther King Jr. said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. If even one person is ill on this planet, we have to be concerned. We can't reach enlightenment and serenity until we all get there together. So we are our brother's keeper, we're our sister's keeper, and together we can heal each other. Thank you so much. See you on Sunday, and check out my channel. Just go to YouTube, Douglas Block Depression. You'll find it probably if you're already on it. And one thing, anyone stay strong. Wishing you stay lots of love from London, Dublin, Ireland. Hey, the home of James Joyce, one of my favorite authors. I can only understand what he's talking about. See you guys later.